Go ahead and start the recording, although we still got 1 minute, but I doubt if anyone else shows up. It's usually just the two of y'all, so I assume y'all can hear me. Yes, Matt, I can help you with that. And Gina, I don't think you'll probably need any help on that one. Since this is supposed to be your last class, so you don't have to worry about registration for summer. If you haven't checked on the graduation application, Gina, double check that one. I don't know if you followed up on that yet or not. I know we talked about it the other day, I think. But it should be the one you already had submitted. Should have you. Good. I knew Missy, as long as Missy had it still there, that she would use the one she had, because Missy's good. Okay. That's weird. All right, so registration started this week. And then y'all are in chapter module 6 starting this week. I know there was at least one person hit some stumbling blocks on 5 last week, but I think that all straightened out. There was some other problems apparently with it. And so that will be handled. That should be okay. I have not had a chance to work on these labs as far as me doing them since back there in chapter 3, so I want to start on that again. It should be available. Let me double check. Unless it's possible I didn't get this class completely set up and I'd forgotten on that. No, it's completely set up. And for some reason, I set it that it's not available until starting at 8:15 tonight instead of at midnight, which all of the other stuff was set at. So let me fix that real quick. Apparently, I was working on it at 8:15 at night and didn't change the time on it for some reason. Because the rest of them are all sitting there correct on except that one. So when will the test be open? It's open now. And if you hadn't said something on it, I wouldn't have realized on it. But it was going to open up at 8:15 tonight, so that would have been work for you anyway. And as far as, and this one, when I saw it the other day, because we did have a glitch on chapter 5 test that was pointed out to me that it wasn't giving enough questions. But this one, I think I clicked in at that time first, because I think I clicked on the first one when on the wrong one when I went to go in. And the this one, that one just happens once in a while, but I try not to let it happen. But last week's test did have one question for a little bit. This one's correct. When I'm creating them, it defaults to one question. For some reason, I put in 25, but sometimes I think I must skip the enter or something. So that it's less now than it used to be a problem of. I used to have more of a problem on that in previous semesters. So you should be set to go on that. Chapter 6 is remote access. They've got you setting up a VLAN and working with that, and setting up a remote access server. And so they take you through not VLAN, a virtual private network, a VPN, not a VLAN, but a VPN, and then enabling the remote access and setting up the remote access server and setting its security settings on it so that not just anybody can get into your machine. It's when you read the introduction to the chapter, it makes an interesting reading of an introduction for now, since what's all happened in the last 12 months from right now. But it says the old work model of thrones of workers going to an office and staying there from 9 to 5 no longer applies to many businesses, which we know is very, very much true now. And then it says with remote access technology, employees can work from home or on the road and still have access to all of the resources and applications they would have sitting at a desk in the company office. But basically what it's doing is they're setting it up so that you can access that machine, their specific machine. Because like here at school, they've got it set where I'm supposed to be able to access my computer, office computer from home, although I have never done that. First problem is, I think I know what the name of it is now, but for a long time there, I had no idea of the name. And when we were in the pandemic, I had no idea in the world what it was named. So I couldn't get into it all that time. Now I think I know what it is named. And so I could go through their connection they've got set up on the website for the faculty to go through a VPN and theoretically get into the machine. But the other problem is my machine, if it decides to reboot, I do have it on a UPS, so it's not on a power problem anymore. But as y'all know, when Windows updates occur, quite often when it does them, it reboots during the process. Well, mine's got a issue with the video card. It says that I'm not plugged into the primary one, but I am. It's somehow got them mixed up because I have two monitors, one's in the primary and one's in the secondary. Well, for some reason, it's got them mixed up or something in its mind and something on the driver. And every time it boots up, it stops and you have to hit F1 to tell it to go ahead and to just use it like it is. But who knows? So even if I did go to use it from home, it would be dependent on the fact that it's not rebooted. If it's rebooted, I would actually have to get somebody to come in the office here and hit the F1 button. And then I'd be able to get to it. But almost everything I do, I don't need what's on the machine itself. I've got most of it on my laptop, or it's sitting out there in Blackboard and Netacad and such, and some things that I've downloaded again just to have at those locations. So it turned out not to be anything, and I knew I really didn't need this machine to do stuff from home, because I've been working from home for many years, actually back to the 1980s, doing some schoolwork from home. I also did schoolwork at the colleges. But a lot of people, they need to be able to get in that machine because they've got specific stuff on that machine they need to be able to access to. So it will vary on the person. So some people will use these remote access type things. I have used remote access on some machines I work on for some businesses. Particularly for several years, I had 2 servers and several clients at 2 different industries that I supported their computers, and I logged into their server and into a couple of their PCs at a number of different times from all kinds of locations. so that even though I was on the road or I wasn't anywhere near them, and I did them from across the country. I remember going to both of them from Arizona, at least at one time. When I was in France about 4 years ago, I think that was 2017. It doesn't seem like it's been 4 years since I was in France, in Paris for a Kiwanis convention. That I logged into at least one of them from over there. When they had a problem, they'd emailed me and I checked it and I fixed it. So, but that's the way those work. And then I guess I haven't been to an international convention since. And that would have been 4 years ago then, because the guy that was incoming governor, no, outgoing governor that I was lieutenant governor for, he was outgoing at that convention because we finished our terms that September, and that was in June or July. And then that would have put him, he ran for international trustee 2 years, and that would have been 18 and 19. That'd be correct. And then 2020, they did not have a convention. It was supposed to have been in Indianapolis and got canceled. They just had a voting thing, because bylaws actually requires voting in person, but it has an option where it would be just the board of directors. And so they just brought them in and did all the voting. District has the same thing, and we canceled ours, and I got elected last summer in the district where I'm vice governor now, where it was just a limited number of people voting. I lost the election 2 years before that where everybody was voting, but I would have won either way last summer because there was nobody running against me, and I was going to definitely cast my vote for me. And then this summer was to be in Salt Lake City, and at this point they have canceled the voting from there and are going to go the same way on voting, but they said they're going to have the big educational convention instead, just no voting there. The problem being that a lot of the clubs in third world countries and districts in those will not be able to come to Salt Lake City this summer because of the pandemic. No matter how well things get here, third world countries are really hurting still. And then I don't know if y'all saw, Italy went back into, a large part of the country went into lockdown this weekend because they say it's all getting out of control there. And if you remember, Italy was the first country after China that was hit really hard with it. I didn't see that one, but I did see the Italy. And we're loosening up, and the rest of Europe is in a mixture of things. The vaccine, they say, is making a big difference. I actually noticed some statistics the other day, and I've had the first shot, but I haven't had the second shot yet. I'll get that spring break, because that's when my 4 weeks hits. Is that Alaska, 60% of the adult population in Alaska, as of last week, I believe it was, has had the vaccine. So they should be headed into herd immunity there. Now, younger than adult, that was over 18, if I remember what their definition was, but it was adults and over 18, I believe. I don't think it was 21, but it doesn't make any difference for 21 or 18. But I think it was everyone over 18 that 60% of the adult population has had the vaccine at this point in Alaska. And then Georgia was way down below that because we were 3 or 5% or something have had the whole vaccine. And that was supposedly have had both doses of the vaccine, because Johnson & Johnson's just now starting to spread around with the 1 dose. Of course, I'm waiting to see on that one. Those people are probably going to have to go back and get a second dose later on because they're still studying during the second dose. And the preliminary indications are that makes it even a lot more effective. And so at that point, if that holds true, they will recommend all of them go get a second shot. So hopefully things are continuing to free up. My intentions is at this point, I was intending to go to Salt Lake City to the convention, and now since they just changed to a conference where they're going to have all their educational sessions and some other stuff is their plan. I'm still intending to go out there to it, even though there won't be voting at it because there's a lot of things I'd like to pick up there. And my intentions has been all along and continues to be to drive out there and drive back. So it's usually 3 days or so, 3 or 4 days, and then I'll spend a couple of days driving out and driving back. But my classes, I'll still meet them during that time while I'm out there, because everything I'll be teaching summer is online. The school is at this point, because last week we had to change this, that they told us to put some classes back to in person for summer, which we have in CIST. None of my classes did I move from online to in person, but none of them that I'm teaching this summer would have been in person anyway, pre-pandemic. The installation and maintenance class, we did move it back to in person again. And then fall, they said to go completely back to the same schedule as before. And I have no idea in the world why Mr. Spurlock just called me with a single ring. If I hadn't glanced right at the phone as it rang, I wouldn't have known who it was called. I'm guessing he called the wrong number and realized he did. So that's where we stand. Have y'all got any questions for me at this point? So that's what you'll be working on in this chapter. Usually this stuff works fairly straightforward. I don't think they have you doing anything weird in here, because you do have to set up some routing and stuff, so they got you working on that. And I think we'll be in pretty good shape from here on out. But I am going to try to work one day this week on doing some more. As far as I know, I've got all of y'all's stuff graded through last week. That was turned in through last Monday. On 2601, I know there's some stuff I have not graded in their class. I've got a little bit of their stuff, or maybe it's 2451. No, it's 2451. 2601, I've got everything graded also. All classes except for the 2451 online class. As far as I know, was caught up in grading through this weekend on it. Yeah, in your class, I'm in good shape because everything that's been submitted down there is either due today, some discussions and Chapter 5 assignments, and then I do have one person that has already finished all the assignments in the book. But I'll get to those when we get there. So, that we'll do that. So, I may get ahead on that a little bit. All right, any questions for me? Because if there's not any, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up, because that gives you some information, reminded you about the registration. And Matt, if you've got a microphone and you want to talk to me here at this point, as soon as I turn off the recording, we can do that and just do it right across here on Collaborate, and I'll just turn the recording off.